Welcome to 5 Dubs by MDDC Press. I'm your host, Rebecca Snyder, the Executive Director of the Maryland, Delaware, and D.C. Press Association, which represents news media in our region. 5 Dubs focuses on the who, what, when, where, and why of local news media. We'll talk with the journalists about the stories behind the news. You can find more information about our guests in the show notes or on our website, www.5-dubs.com. Welcome, everyone. I am delighted to have our very own Kevin Berrier in the studio. And I feel like this is a mashup or a cross-pollination of the Marketing Pros and 5 Dubs regular podcast. So welcome, Kevin, to my side of the program.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is the first time you and I have kind of done this format. I'm excited.
Yes. And so for everyone listening that maybe doesn't always click into the Marketing Pros part of 5 Dubs, Kevin Berrier is MDDC's marketing director. And in that wheelhouse, what a lot of people don't know is that MDDC has a full service marketing agency that's housed under the association. It's a wholly owned for-profit subsidiary. And so that allows us to be really client directed in helping people tell their stories and place advertising, place marketing, and so forth. But today, I wanted to bring Kevin in because he's so much more than he does so many things for the association for our members. I just wanted to talk to you about why MDDC exists, and sort of take a look back over 2025 and share some of our hopes, dreams, plans for 2026. So sound good?
That sounds good, man. What a 2025 we had.
Yes.
It was a busy one, and I think 2026 is going to be just as busy. So
It was a roller coaster, and in prepping for this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, where did that entire year go?" But I think it would be good to kind of center the association because, and this we're coming at this actually. We did a great member benefit survey in the fall, and it forced all of us to sort of take a look up from our desk and think, well, why do we exist? And we came up with a couple of buckets of why the Press Association exists, and we cover Maryland, Delaware, and DC. We serve all types of news media organizations, print, digital only. We have a smattering of public broadcasting, newsletters, basically people who are interested in the act of journalism. We also are open to freelancers. And so just to kind of sketch it out, really at heart, what we do is we champion, protect, and spotlight local journalism. And we can talk about all the products and programs we have to do that. Nothing happens without money, of course. So we also really focus on driving revenue and sustainability for members. And sometimes that looks like literally placing advertising in publications. Sometimes that looks like sales trainings or education about news media. We elevate professional excellence, with things like our contests and events. And I think also one of the critical things to me, it feels a little soft, but fostering that community and collaboration. I always think of it as the association is sort of the cartilage between all these really competitive news organizations. And we're really one of the few places that all of our members talk to us. So we can share, we can create community, we can convene. And then finally, we're always looking ahead, not just in this podcast to look at 2026, but we're investing in that future of journalism through our foundation, which accepts tax-deductible donations. We invest in the future of journalism through our internship program. We also act as a fiscal sponsor for the Baltimore Brew, so that we can really aid and foster news media for a long period of time and work through it. So that was a lot of words. But Kevin, tell me a little bit about what resonates for you in sort of the buckets of things that we do. Where do you feel drawn or feel most fulfilled?
Yeah, so I think, a lot of it is, and I've come from a long news media advertising background history. I got into this industry back in 2001, right before 9/11, at the Carroll County Times, while it was still under Landmark, and then moved over to the Frederick News Post. Uh, I've been in a myriad of positions within the revenue generating side, primarily in advertising, and a stint in commercial printing at the Carroll County Times. But the conduit, or I guess the common thread, is that I have always recognized the importance that the advertising side of a news media organization has in supporting the important work that the editorial side does.
Hmm.
So and in doing that, I think it takes a village. Um, I wouldn't say we're the unsung heroes by any means, but I think we're very important. And in doing that, I want to make sure that when I came into this position with the Press Association, to oversee the agency, was I wanted to make sure that I was available and was proactively working with our members on the advertising side to network and collaborate and look for revenue generating opportunities. Look for me to put revenue into our member organizations and make our advertising members as strong as they possibly can be in an environment, an advertising environment where it is changing constantly.
Right.
And I think, as advertising reps are, busy being the boots on the ground for their organizations, there's only so much time in the day. So one thing I try to take off their back is really understanding what is going on within the advertising landscape, and then communicating that out to our members, so they can be informed, so they can have conversations with their prospects and their customers, to show that they are subject matter experts in the advertising and marketing world. Not They're not sales reps, they are marketers, and that's what clients pay for. And it's been amazing to see the growth of a lot of our sales and advertising side members just over the course of a few years. And I'd like to think I have a little part in it, but it's by and large just because of all the hard work that they do.
Yeah. Well, and certainly we'll recap a little bit about some of the accomplishments of 2025. But I think, when we look at revenue generation, news media, obviously journalism is the mission. We serve to connect communities, or our members serve to connect communities, to shed light on topics of interest. I mean, in many, and also just make sure that the community is engaged and informed. And that community can take a lot of different forms. It might be geographic, it might be a community of interest. And I think advertising, although it often pays the bills along with circulation, but B, it's a community in and of itself, because community members want to support local businesses, or they want to know about vendors and merchants in their communities. And so I think it feels good to connect people in that way. And I think you do a terrific job of that.
It does, and I think case in point, COVID-19, right? That was a situation where it really, the idea of people in a community wanting to support the small businesses in their community, um, really shined in
Mhm.
in a situation that was just really odd for everybody. And I think, one thing I'm really proud of, and I congratulate all of our members, is that they played a massive part in that,
Mhm.
in sacrificing a lot in order to do it. So in the vein of, yeah, community newspapers, connecting the community together in some way, the advertising side does that too. They're connecting small businesses in their community that need to thrive with the members of that community. So
Yeah.
that's important.
But I think another big piece of what I'm most proud of the association's work is our ability to speak for press freedoms, to advocate for community journalism, to legislators, to members of the public. And we live in times now where press freedoms are eroding, and it is very powerful to be able to speak with a united single voice. about issues of importance. And so, of course, we do that legislatively in Maryland, Delaware, and DC. We do that in the public. And I think one of the things I'm looking forward to in 2026 is making a more direct link between um, when there are attacks on the press or reporter access or freedom of information. Those aren't just affecting journalists or news media. That is an erosion of freedom for all of us because, and I do a lot of work legislatively. And one of the things that I always emphasize is that the Maryland Public Information Act or the Delaware FOIA or the DC FOIA or federal FOIA, those are not rules or acts that are specifically pertaining to journalists. We are professional users of those programs with access to government information, but we really are just stand-ins for the public. And so anyone has the right to request information of their government to understand how those government actions affect them. And when there is diminishment of that access, it affects us all. And I think one of the things I'm looking forward to most this year is really making that connection more deliberate and more obvious. That this is a social issue. This is, a democratic with a little d issue in terms of how our society functions. Um, so, I mean, that's community connection, the journalism. But let's take a look back. Actually, 2025. Let's peer behind the curtain and talk about some of the things that happened in the association that I think are helping our members most or helping make journalism a little bit more sustainable. Like what are you most proud of, Kevin?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the advertising side, right? And I
Mhm.
always tell folks like I'm on the dark side of the news media, right? But for us, as I'm looking at just what we do, and what I'm really proud of, honestly, and I'm gonna scream it from the rooftops to all of our members, is that our MDDC ad services last year placed hundreds of thousands of dollars of media into our members, whether it be through print insertions or through digital partnerships. When the numbers are pulled, um, I'm well into the six digits, so I'm happy about that.
Well,
Um,
yay you.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
It's pretty important, and I think by and large, a lot of that, as you know, because as a press association, and as many may know or may not know, press associations around the United States usually will have an agency of some capacity inside, and one of the primary roles is to be a media buying entity into membership. Now, I think we at the MDDC have an enhanced approach to that where we're a needs-based agency. When we work with clients, we're working based on the obstacles that they're facing and how can we overcome that obstacles. And thankfully, our members, and through the amazing audiences and powerful audiences that our members have, I'm able to leverage those audiences through advertising. But we're not exclusive to members.
Mhm.
We'd be doing our clients a disservice if we were. That said, I think our members and just our media partners in general, they've been great in working with me on getting me information that I need so I can propose their product to clients. Because I mean, let's face it, I'm going to call a spade a spade. A print advertisement is not the sexiest type of advertising that exists out there.
Right.
And sexier types of advertising, like, programmatic display with micro proximity, geofencing, is like, that sounds sexy, right? Getting in front of somebody,
It sounds
uh,
sexy because I have no idea what that is. I mean, I
right?
have a little bit of an idea, but it sounds alluring.
So, the more advertising evolves, the more targeted it gets. And the more that, an emphasis on return on ad spend, is a quantifiable return on ad spend, is important, especially with agencies that we work with that partner with us in media buying or clients direct. And, one big thing that we do in our agency here is we evangelize and advocate for the power of news media advertising. And there's an immense power, and you can split it many a different ways, from news media being a lesser cost per thousand in many cases than social media advertising, for example. um, but it's hard sometimes to quantify if I put an ad in the paper, well, how many calls did I get? So we
Mhm.
work with our clients and we work with our members to put tracking mechanisms in place, like call tracking numbers or, UTMs on a QR code that someone can scan to evolve the mechanics that need to be evolved within a traditional advertising space. And what I'm happy to see is that a lot of our members are embracing that and adopting that as well. We're being sought after and looked at in terms of like what can we do and cannot we do or can't do, I should say, in like cannabis advertising.
Right.
We held an amazing webinar. Um, Man, and it all blends together. I can't remember
God,
if
was
that
that
was
just
last
last
year.
year?
Was either I'm gonna say it was either last year or just the year before, so I'm gonna count it, but pulling in the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission
Yep.
to talk about what we can do and can't do, and bringing Curio Wellness, a cannabis dispensary and manufacturer in to talk about what they look for. So, we always look for like professional development opportunities. We always look for revenue to place into our members. We look for revenue to place in ourselves. But most importantly, we look at revenue as a byproduct based on the good work that we do for our clients. And that's why, knock on wood, and I'm knocking on wood here. That's why we have a great retention rate, right? Our clients like us and they stay with us because we do good work. We've also, I am an AI nerd. I adopted AI very early. We adopted AI an association and an agency very early out of need, and I've been able to teach our news media organizations on how to use AI in sales and marketing. I've been invited to many a meeting by members to hold dedicated webinars, and that kind of spun up a little bit of a speaker circuit in
Mhm.
going around the United States and talking about how to use AI in marketing and advertising. And that allows me to network with other businesses and organizations around the United States to look at what their best practices are that we can bring back to deploy here. Looking at vendors that may be at these conferences that would be good vendors for our clients to get in front of to know exist. Um, and also doing our due diligence as a subject matter expert. I feel like we're being looked at now as innovators
Mhm.
within our space, because of the amazing work we do on both sides of our aisle, which is, the if I call it the editorial side on your end and the advertising on mine. I think 2025 was a rocket ship. I mean,
Yeah.
and we're still going, full blast. And I'm excited at 2026's opportunities.
Well, and I think, and make no mistake, we are a small organization, small but mighty, I like to think. And I do feel like looking, and it's been you that has been really focused on how we can use AI, how we can use some of our technological automations to help with prospecting, to help with our internal operations, to really streamline makes it sound like we're leaving things out, but to do more to increase our capacity. And I love that you have spun up the AI games, which really provides one of the things I think is most helpful is providing that practical perspective of, okay, we have this idea, but how do we operationalize it? How do we actually make it work and take it out of that pie in the sky, like, oh, you should do this, and really show how things might be?
Yeah, and that came out of just a coincidental circumstance. Another association said, "Hey, your how to use AI in marketing and advertising was so popular. People are saying, what else does he have?" And I didn't really have anything else. So incidentally, I was watching the Squid Games when I got this email at like 10 at night from this person, and I had no idea. And I thought, how cool would it be to be like the front man of a competition, just like in Squid Games? So I literally paused the episode and I came down with AI and I created in a few hours, basically from start to finish, the AI games. It's an interactive workshop that allows advertising execs and sales professionals to actually put their knowledge to the test in a fun and competitive environment. And that I've held AI games for half a dozen conferences now, and it always gets rave reviews. So in 2026, member friends, be ready at our conference on May 8th. We will be holding MDDC's AI games. And there's not only is there a lot of bragging rights, but there's a pretty awesome trophy that comes along
I
with
was
it.
gonna say, not to nerd out too much, don't you 3D print a little, special trophy
Well,
or
so I don't 3D print it, but but we do get trophies. It's so I got for the last one we did, I got a message on LinkedIn from someone. They sent me a picture of their trophy buckled in to their car. And funny enough, it was from a person who was really not enjoying she was really having a lot of anxiety in the idea of like a competition.
Mhm.
She didn't seem to be super enthusiastic coming in, but her team won and she was the team leader. And, she came back and she says, man, that was really fun. That was not what I expected. I love my trophy. I have buckled it into the front of my car
That's
and I want
hilarious.
to show you a picture of this. So, be ready. It's a fun, interactive thing, that we do. And, I mean, a part of what I do is sales. I don't like being thought of as a salesperson. I'm not. I'm a marketer, and I've spent a lot of my time learning my craft. But a portion of what we do is sales because we have to pitch our ideas. And
Mhm.
if we want to learn a new skill within our professional quiver, um, being able to demonstrate it is really where you retain it. So that's where
Yeah.
the AI games came from.
Absolutely. And I think also using AI in different aspects. I know this past fall, and we're kind of waiting a little bit more on the uptake, but I created an AI tool that allows people to kind of articulate their annual giving plan. Oftentimes, our members, and I think this is where the association has really kind of found itself over the past decade or so, in being that clearinghouse of information and being that, we'll go out and do the research, we'll figure out what's going on and share what we see as best practices and amplify what members are doing as best practices. There's a lot of really amazing innovation. I'm so proud to showcase it on 5 Dubs, which has really grown in viewership, audioship, whatever ship we have on a podcast this past year. Um, and to be able to highlight the stories, not only about journalism, but about how people are adapting to changing circumstances. So, using AI to do an annual giving program, looking at best practices on how AI can be used as a tool as opposed to, um, and how members are using AI. And it's not for a lot of content right now. It's really more workflow management. And that's been very interesting to see, you know, um, uh, news organizations take advantage of that tool.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we really underscore that. And when I hold the AI games, I always joke about this on like ethics. In advertising, we don't have ethics. We don't need to think about ethics, but we absolutely do. And I'm being joking about that because as news media, there are a lot of ethical considerations and a lot of concerns at
Mhm.
how AI is um, weaving itself within our world. So being able to use AI as a tool where you're the hammer and it's the nail is something that I think we all preach, and I think that really shows through uh, the annual giving widget,
Mhm.
essentially tool that you created. It shows that it was used in a responsible way, in a way that benefits our news media organizations. Um, so I was really excited to see that, and
Yeah.
congrats on that. That's an awesome tool.
Well, and also, and I don't want to linger too long on AI, but it reminds me that, part of what I think made last year just a really important year for us. We always work with partners at the national level, and so partners in, say, the News Media Alliance, who's been doing so much around kinda going after the money around AI, because we can be all, like, sweet and, "Oh, it's a great operational piece," but the fact of the matter is AI is, um, taking traffic from news media websites.
Yeah.
It's, learning models, using content from news media organizations, and as an individual publisher or as even a state press association, I don't really feel like we have like, I don't have the wherewithal to fight at the federal level or to bring some of these suits that our national partners really are focusing on. So part of what we do and what I think worked really well last year was knowing which partner for which issue in some
Yeah.
ways, and then bringing their expertise to bear. In doing legislative work, and we're recording this in January, so we're right at the beginning of Maryland and Delaware's annual sessions. It's a huge portfolio of issues that news media is involved in, and by strategically developing relationships, kind of building that community that, if you think about news media locally as building community around readers and niche audiences, our association is building community with other partner organizations to really move our messages forward. And
Yeah.
so that I think has been really successful. I'm proud of the partnerships that we've developed there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think I like to think that we work smart while inevitably working hard as well, right? We'll
yeah,
never be able to work smart, not hard, but bringing in just that strategic approach of how we tackle things, I think that allows that really shows how we can expand the bandwidth in what we do. In a world that perhaps like we're doing so much with not enough, right? It's which is preaching to the choir, I think, in our industry. Our
absolutely.
members are masters at getting a lot done with the resources they have.
Yeah. I think, just as you were talking, like amplifying what members are doing and really making sure that that light is being shined our upon what's important in the industry. This past year, we teamed with the AMARC Foundation to carry their prize for investigative reporting. And again, super excited about that. That's something that will be awarded for the first time in 2026, coming up at our annual conference. Um, the AMARC Foundation has prizes for investigative journalism. There's a first, second, and third place prize for Maryland, for Delaware, and for DC. Those are cash prizes. And so I think that fits in so well with kind of evangelizing for news media, regardless of format, but getting our members' work out there. And so a couple things that I think last year we kind of solidified. We've been pecking away at them, but really teed it up was to highlight our contest winners on our social media to really make that award winning work kind of sing throughout the year. And then also getting that during Sunshine Week, which happens during March, highlighting the investigative work and the public records work that our member does, again through social media. And I wanted to ask you, because like you, in many respects, we're your most important client, the Press Association.
Of
You know,
course.
and you bring so much of your marketing talents to bear on the work that we do. Tell us a little bit about that social media strategy and what you did last year and what you're hoping to do in 2026.
Yeah. So, so last year we're putting out, a best of show campaign of who won and who won awards at our contest for both the advertising and editorial side. And what I love to see as a marketer, what brings just joy in the inner gooiness of my heart is when I see our members share it out,
Mhm.
or I see the award winner sharing it out. And then I will totally, like a creeper, go and look and see the comments on their posts. And they're getting so much congratulations because, in the news media world, especially on the journalist side, it's like it's such an underappreciated, in my opinion, it's an underappreciated craft. You hear everything that people don't like, and you never hear anything that you do like. So having a day at our conference and through our contest to celebrate the important work that they do, being able to do that on social media to expand that out and have that extension of celebration throughout most of the year until our next conference, I think keeps a consistent flow.
Mhm.
We tag the news media organizations social channels by social channel in these posts, so if any members are listening to this, keep a lookout. If any of your social folks are listening, if you see MDDC tagging you, share it out for us. But in doing that, we're on many social channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We have a share voice on YouTube. We're on Threads, X. We're going to be getting into Blue Sky. We're kind of everywhere because we need to be everywhere. We're on Spotify with our podcast, right? And we spotlight our members here. So, we use every megaphone that exists in an efficient way to highlight our members and just the important work that they do. And it shows because people will congratulate them,
Mhm.
when the content's shared out. So um I think sometimes, and I may get some heat from our members for this. I think sometimes we're our worst marketers, right?
Mhm.
We're our worst evangelists, and because we care more, and I think our members care more about the work that they do than bragging about the work that they do. We'll brag for them because
Mhm.
it's amazing, the work that they're able to do every year. So that I think I'm really, really proud of that, and we're looking to amplify that this year. We have a student intern every year. Uh, and our dear Caroline has graduated, so she is moving on to bigger and better things, and we wish her nothing but the most congratulations and well luck. But our new intern Emily just did a social media analysis for us that she just gave us, the presentation on here earlier this morning, and she's shining an evolved light on some things and areas of opportunity that we can do to better organize our social, to diversify how we're addressing our social and the content. That all will just be to the benefit of our membership as well. So I'm really excited about that in 2026, in addition to all of the other stuff that we're doing.
Well, and I think and that is true, like, the connections between sort of, like, the public and amplifying what members are their work out in the world, and then I think one of the things that, we started last year and are gonna build upon this year is that connection between members. And that's so critical. So we debuted a member directory last year. We've got some big plans for it this year, which we'll talk about. But then also just providing connection space for people in news media. So every month we have an open call. Sometimes it's programmed, sometimes it's unprogrammed, to talk about the issues that are important to the industry. And so our connecting news media call is, I think it's the first Tuesday of the month, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Uh, Round about noon, anyone's open to sign up for that. And it's growing, and I think we can do more with that vehicle in 2026. But I'm really excited about our member directory because that's useful for not only our own members, but also members of the public and the PR community that are looking for ways to get their messages out. So, Kevin, you want to talk a little bit about how we work with others and what that directory is looking like?
Yeah. So the vision behind that directory is to provide a more interactive resource, for not only our fellow members that want to network, because that's a big thing within our association. I want members to network with other members, even if there's some competition, because I think it takes a village. We've partnered here right at the beginning here of 2026 with the Baltimore Public Relations Council, to kind of do a meet the press
Mhm.
webinar with them, and I think that that allowed our members to shine light on what they really find important to them within the PR community, and allow the PR community to ask a lot of questions on how can they work with news media better. We're always looking for partnerships from on the advertising side, on vendors that are doing good things. I'm going to shout out Cloud Campaign. That is our longstanding social media management platform. And if any of our members are looking for one, give me a holler. I'll send you an affiliate link. But it's a great tool. So we when we try to make connections between the outside world essentially and our membership, I feel like we do a really great job at vetting them to
Mhm.
make sure that there's an element of quality, because there are, so from an advertising side, there's so many vendors out there where
Right.
not great content or not a great platform.
Mhm.
So we really try to look for, you know, we try to look to be that gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And one of the things I'm looking forward to in 2026 is our plan to kind of up our affiliate membership and kind of create that preferred vendor space, because we're really cognizant that the association is a trusted entity for our members, and we take that super seriously. We're not going to vet people that we're not excited about. But I think that's a really interesting spot. And then also, one of the things that keeps our members up at night, aside from eroding press freedoms, business issues, tariffs, is revenue.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I know you're working on is developing a fractional sales effort program, as well as in-market sales blitz training. And I think those are really specific ways that we're working to push our membership forward and support them. And so I don't know if you wanted to share just a little bit about that in our time.
Yeah. So, from just an evolution of the revenue generating side of what we do, we are baiting right now with a few key members, a fractional sales effort, where we work with our members to identify areas of opportunity, whether it be business verticals that they don't have time to go after beyond the verticals we tend to work on at our level anyway, which includes, state level, regional level. We're not tromping around your backyard, we promise. But we're trying to go after areas of opportunity that we know our members aren't. But our members also are, in some cases, especially on the sales side, lean and mean, and they need sales help. So
Mhm.
I'm working with vendors, or excuse me, I'm working with our members uh, to develop a scaled fractional sales program
Mhm.
that we can do here. And then also in market sales, when I was with the Frederick News Post, we had, an ad director that he was new. He came in and he ran basically a sales blitz. I think it was a magic trick in his arsenal, and it was very successful. Where I would come into market. We would work with your sales team to train them on specific tactics, and then we would assign accountability to your sales team to fill up our schedules. And I four-lay calls with salespeople. We'd have deep incentives for clients to sign a 1-year agreement,
Mhm.
but they kind of have to sign on the dotted line right then and there. And when we did this, and when I've done this in other organizations, it brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars within the event. So that's something that I want to roll out. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of spinning plates, including all of the back end work with our our member leadership on what they want us to specifically focus on. So that's a work in progress, but something I think would be huge for our
Yeah.
members to take advantage of once it's dialed in and ready to go.
Yeah. And I think also one of the things that I'm most looking forward to in 2026 is our conference, because that's an area for us all to come together to learn about what's happening in the industry, learn from one another, and really just have a moment of fellowship and celebration. So, I'm looking forward to May 8th in Annapolis and the host of programs that we'll have in 2026. And Kevin, I just wanted to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me talking about the proud moments of 2025 and previewing 2026. So
Yeah,
thanks
I'm
so much.
excited. Onward and upward to all of our members. Thanks for letting me say my
Absolutely.
piece.
Perfect.
Thanks for listening to 5 Dubs with Rebecca Snyder. Please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts so that others can find us. What do you want to know about local journalism? Email me at rsnyder, SNYDER, at mddcpress.com. Interested in supporting our podcast and journalism? Please donate to our 501c3 Press Foundation. Find out more and see the full episode list and show notes at www.5-dubs.com.